Hello and welcome. Sorry for the background noise, but my 3D printer is currently cranking out another version of this. But this isn't what this video's on. I'll make another one about that another time. Soon, hopefully. Now, today is about the Tailsitter. And you might think, oh no, he's not holding a plane. He hasn't built it yet. Which is kind of correct. See, I'm going to do something different this time. Here's the airplane. There, it's in frame. There's part of the airframe. All the other parts are currently cut out. I had to cut it out by hand because obviously this doesn't fit on the laser printer, like I talked about last time. But instead of just telling you I've done something, I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So, now that the wings are built, what do we do next? Well, I chopped them off. Now normally this is a very, very big no-no. Don't chop wings off of planes. It's very not recommended. However, if this is going to be a very portable system, I need the wings to be able to come off. But if they come off and it's going to fly, then they need to go back on. This is the center section of the aircraft. It's hard to tell what it is, but once I put this former onto it, it's easier to tell that that's about the profile it's going to have. You'll notice there's a box in there. Now Flight Test puts this box in here to be glued to the spars that are in the wings, which are just these foam boxes that are formed when the wing is glued in. Now, how am I going to modify this to make it both detachable and reattachable? That's where the carbon spars that I've been waiting so long for come in. See, my plan is to mount a spar, actually a pair of these, inside of this box. So there'll be one here and one a little bit lower. Give it a little bit of extra strength. I'm also debating putting one on the outside, on the very bottom here. I might do that actually. But how does this make it detachable? The wings are going to have these. Now these are the same carbon rods, except they're smaller. So they will fit one inside of the other. Just like that. It makes a very secure structure. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to 3D print a couple of tabs that have threaded holes or embedded nuts or something. I'll show you the design probably in the next video. I don't have it all the way sketched up right now because I'm finalizing the design as I go, because this is a very fly by the seat of my pants kind of design system. But the sticky part of this is when I put this rod through, this will sit here. It'll be happy, honky-dory. And I'll put some 3D printed inserts inside that box, so this spar sits nice and centered where it needs to be. The reason this is difficult is, on this wing, the spar is a little bit different shaped, but that's not really the problem. The problem is that when this is matched up to the fuselage, the center pod, see what's happening? So, what I have to do is punch a hole straight through at an angle relative to this, parallel to the center spar. That's where we're going to have geometry come in. So what I'm going to do is just cut a hole straight through and kind of guesstimate where these spars are headed, and then glue them in and get them really set in there, and then I will cut down the center spar to be flush with the ends of the center pot. And there's some other detail work that's going to go into this, and I won't show all of that in the video, but I'll sum it up once I'm done with it. But basically, putting in spars, getting the angles right, that's my big challenge. Okay, it is now a couple weeks later, and I did not film the build like I wanted to. But progress is made, and we're basically to the final construction. And this is the result of that build process. I'm unable to get it in the whole frame because the space I have to film in is not big. But as far as hardware and software and electronics go, everything's there. The wings are built and attached with a carbon spar here at the bottom of the fuselage, another one in that boxy area underneath the flight controller. And those spars link up to the wings, and there is a set screw right in there inside that blue rectangle that goes through those spars and holds them in place so they don't slide out. It works too well, actually. It's not very easy to pull it apart. And as far as wiring, I took a couple of shortcuts to make things a little bit more efficient. As a disclaimer, a lot of these shortcuts were taken by the guy I got the ESCs from, because the way he wired it up was a little bit different from the way I would have done it originally. However, it works. How do I know it works? Because the guy I got them from is a genius. And so if it works on his aircraft, it would work on this. But basically, that is our ESC. It's covered by electrical tape because carbon is an electrical conductor and a thermal conductor, I found out. So if I were to leave the bare ESC laying on the carbon, it would short itself and burn quite violently. But we have a power lead that goes from the bottom of the aircraft out to each boom. And that power lead hooks up to the ESC. There's another power lead soldered to that same connection that runs to this ESC. So they're essentially connected in parallel. Now, since they're connected in parallel, they should get the same amperage. There shouldn't be any weird tendencies. But that's how the power is wired up. And then we have signal wires going from each ESC to the inside of the aircraft where they plug into the rat's nest. I would make that a little nicer. However, that would take a lot of time, and I do not have a lot of time. But as you can see, motors are mounted, booms are mounted. I made these neat little 3D printed parts that hook everything together through friction fit and mechanical fit. And yeah, looks pretty good. And that concludes the build of this thing. I have one more video to go over what went wrong. Well, I'll have two more videos. One to go over the electronics I used and how everything works. And the second one will be going over the whole process and be a kind of wrap-up video. So, here you go. I'll see you in the next one.